Well, what a weekend of Premier League action we have to discuss tonight. We've got the Geordies beating Wolves. We've got Everton stunning Manchester United. Chelsea hitting 6 past Southampton. West Ham losing in West London. And the title decider that didn't really decide anything and much, much more. Hope you're all well watching. Yes, this is the Premier League roundup show. No Josh again this week. He's in Tenerife. It's worst places to be. So, of course, I'm joined by Shaun. Shaun, how are you?
Good evening. Yeah, all good over this end of town. Not too bad, mate.
Good. Without further ado, let's get cracking. But before we do, drop a like on the video, subscribe to West Ham Official if you're new to our channel sponsors I'm Carver and Sun by clicking the link in the description down below. Hello to everybody watching. So let's put it straight to you. The first game of the weekend, Friday night football up in the north of the country. Newcastle 1, Wolves 0, and I suppose did most clubs around us a favour.
Yeah, I think this win probably is enough to keep Newcastle up. They probably need one more win at the most, I'd imagine. That how the rest of the results went, I think that would get them over the line if this isn't enough already, really.
Yeah, I think so.
And Wolves, I don't know, they've been one of those clubs. Like, I had a cheeky bet on them. So it sounds ridiculous now to finish top 4 at one point this season. Not a lot of money, but do you know what I mean? I think I got starry-eyed by the odds, but again, you can't knock them. Their fans surely can't moan. They're going to finish top half of the table probably just. But I don't know. They're just another one of these like inconsistent sides. Like, you could probably throw a blanket over 5 or 6 sides around the middle where they'll finish in the middle, and you just don't know what team's going to turn up. On the day they can beat the champions elect, another day they'll struggle to beat Norwich. It's for the middle of the table. I think it's been a strange season, really, on the whole.
Yeah, it hasn't surprised me, and there was a short couple of week period where people were starting to wake up and think, hang on, Wolves are getting up into this race slowly, and then they've just sizzled. They've gone up and just sizzled back out of it again.
You might have the league table in front of them. I've got a feeling they've just struggled to score goals this season, haven't they? Are they quite sort of low down? I know they're top half, but how many have they scored compared to them around them?
Where are we? Yeah, they've scored 33 compared to United, who've scored 49. We've scored 51. You've scored 56. Arsenal scored 45. So a good 10, 15 below.
That must be quite a bit below by some bottom half tables as well. So, but I don't know. They've had spells where they look good, but I don't know. I do worry about these sides when probably a little bit like Brighton last year. They always said that all they're doing is lacking a striker. They're creating loads of chances, just not putting them away. I do worry that eventually, if you carry on being like that, I think the tables might turn. That before you know it, you're losing a few more games than you're winning. Do you know what I mean? You can't just go out to keep it tight every game, and you get that. And that's why a 1-0 away to Newcastle, and Newcastle have been on a shocking run as well. I know they're at home. They'd have had, I'm guessing, 50,000-60,000 Geordies behind them, but. It's just it's not an unexpected result. Let's put it that way, is it really?
No. Speaking of unexpected results, let's move on and let's move slightly down to Merseyside at Goodison Park, where it was Everton 1, Manchester United 0. Now, this didn't surprise me in any way, and I've absolutely loved watching all of the United fans melt down over the last couple of days. Shaun, what's your initial reaction to this when you saw it?
I think most of us have probably thought for a while that it's going to be Everton's home form that's going to give them half a chance because they are atrocious away from home. Let's be honest. Like their away form, they deserve to go down. But I don't know. United didn't even know they turned up to me. No. Everton did okay, but I don't think United. They came. I was going to say they had a goal disallowed, but I think I'm thinking of someone else. I don't really remember watching. I don't really recall Pickford having a lot to do. It's almost a lot of huffing and puffing. I just think United are just a mess. Well, both clubs are a mess. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is two of the biggest, oldest clubs in our league. I know that United aren't, the league table doesn't necessarily show them as bad as Everton, but the clubs have just run so badly. It's like there seems to be different scales, but very similar. There seems to be no strategy on the signings of the players for 5 years, probably. Both of them have spent an absolute fortune, like hundreds of millions, on just random you could put it in like a randomizer. I will go for this player. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's shocking, and even more and more people are jumping on like how ridiculous the sign Ronaldo was. Yeah, he might have scored. He's got 10, 12 goals. He's just made it a bad dressing room probably worse. Now, if there's someone not, I'm not saying that him and his individuals made it worse, but it's more a case of he's come in thinking he's got a divine right to play. There's probably pressure on whoever the manager was at the time. Take your pick, which one to play him.
I think
I mean?
I think it's just rotten to the core. A United. I think
Yeah.
I didn't particularly understand the appointment of Ragnick, because the way it looked to me was like, oh, we've got to sack Ollie, we've got no other choice. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in this geezer that's going to, after the season, go and sit upstairs just to because that was just, oh, let's just fill the season up with this geezer just so we can get rid of Ollie, because it's obviously he's
Ollie,
indefensible.
Ollie, he got the job on United love an interim boss. So he got the job on this interim thing, which is fair enough. He's an I wouldn't even call him a United legend. He's one of their ex-stars, sort of. And then the club's got to stop getting starry-eyed when someone, an interim or a temporary manager, has a good 6-7 game run. The clubs like this should be bigger than that. And it's just how it ended with Ollie. Because he's got that little baby face, you can't help but feel sorry for him. He's so out of his depth. And then Ragnick, who was linked to the Tottenham job, I know some United fans and ex-players saying, "Oh, Conte was never in for the job." They'd have loved Conte, but the club can't handle a manager who's a bit ballsy. That's all it is, because they don't want ballsiness around the club. They just don't want it. If they want a ballsiness around the club, they'd be listening to Roy Keane more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Paul Scholes. He goes on. I think he's only on the Champions League games on BT for United when they were in that. Tears them to shreds. They don't want Paul Scholes anywhere near that club. They don't want to hear that sort of thing because they can't handle the truth.
No,
But apparently the next manager's going to be this Ten Hag. Again, another one at Tottenham looked at. He's highly thought of, and he's done brilliant at Ajax. He's mad to take the job. Insane to take it.
Yeah.
I
think to be fair, it can't be much more of starry. The United job. Who wouldn't take the United job? If you look deep down into it, he's got a flipping mess to sort out there, and that's for sure. Let's see what we've got in the chat. Gary, I hope your evening wears little deck out in Tenerife. There's worse places to be, isn't there? Shaun was right about Tottenham. Yes, we'll get to Tottenham
What part was I right about? What part?
Listen to him, but he's loving life. He's absolutely loving life. Gary says, I don't see Man U ever been a top club for years. They've gone down the rabbit hole and are lost. They certainly are. This Ten Hag's a decent manager, but he's not a miracle worker, and he needs to work miracles at United to get them anywhere near where they want to be.
I don't know who's going to be buying the players, because Ragnick was brought in to be an interim and then was it a technical advisor or something like that?
Yeah, so basically he's gonna do this just to fill some time and then go upstairs with a bit more added extra knowledge after managing.
They were talking about the contract that he's going to be going to next year. It's a part-time advisor role only, and the amount of days in his contract is the exact amount of days he's going to work a year. And I think they worked out he's going to be working 6 days a month. So
6 days a month?
6 days a month he's working as an advisor to the club. So he won't even be in Manchester for half a month at least. It's just shambles. I don't see. It never makes any logic. You've got players that used to have a bit of talent. It's like I haven't always been Rashford's biggest fan. I don't think he's probably ever been good enough for United. Maybe if they want to get to the very top. But he's a Manchester boy. He's come through the academy. Even he now looks like he can't be bothered to put on the shirt. Do you know what I mean?
None of them could be bothered. I've watched a few United channels over the last day, and they're sick, but they're not surprised. Sick of it, but not surprised. But anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Go down to the South Coast, where Chelsea hit 6 past Southampton. What a way to bounce back after a disappointing day at Stamford Bridge last weekend.
But this Southampton are a bit prone to this, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think it's at least this third time. I think I know they lost 9-0 home to Leicester, didn't they once? But I think they've had a few proper drubbins, like big ones. And I think their fans just must like half expect that when's the next one coming.
Yeah, I saw it go 5-0, and I thought they must, all of them in the stadium must have thinking 9-0 flashback, 9-0 flashback.
It's like we said a minute ago about Wolves. Like Southampton, you could almost just chuck them in the same category. Like they went on a run, they played Tottenham off the park about a couple of months ago, and they went on a little run. I thought they are playing good football. Like Ralph, it's Hassan who was. I'm not going to say different Ralph. They look like he found Conte out, and no one else has done that. And then then they have another run where they can't buy a win. Then they ship 6 against quite out of form Chelsea. It's like, I don't know. I'm not really interested in talking about Chelsea, but it's just another one of these mid-table madness. I don't.
But with Chelsea, I think it's so strange as well. You know, people have been saying, oh, about the Real Madrid, you know, and this, and they're tired and they haven't got enough players, and all the excuses were rolling out of the Brentford game and coming up to the Real Madrid game where they're already 3-1 down on aggregate, and then they go and smack them by 6 and smack Southampton by 6, and it's just a bit strange, the whole.
So what's trying to think what Chelsea can win now. What are they?
Well, Champions League, but they're about to go out of that in the next 2 days.
Yeah, and they lost on penalties in the other cup final, was it?
Yeah,
they lost. And let me ask your viewers this question then. So don't forget there are a lot of people outside tip for winning the league this year. I think we got a bit carried away. Yeah. Don't forget that. So Tuchel's not going to win the league. Probably going to limp over the line at third. They haven't impressed massively. They spent another 100 million on a waste of space up front. Okay, so they're not going to win the bottom rung cup, which would be the bare minimum their old owner would have put down. Are they out the FA Cup? I can't remember. Are they out of that?
I know it's Liverpool City, and then the other game is
Palace Chelsea. Yeah, Palace
Chelsea.
Okay,
yeah.
So they're you could say they're up against it to win that. If Abramovich was there after winning the Champions League, do you think he might have given them the push after this season?
Probably.
Because if he goes out the Champions League, is it last 16? Be at the quarterfinal stage or not?
Quarterfinals, yeah.
Okay, so they're out if they go out the quarterfinals, lost in one cup final, third in the league, didn't really threaten Liverpool or Chelsea. That Abramovich would normally sack that manager.
So actually, when you look at it, you know, they could all say there's Champions of Europe, but it's been a pretty awful season for Chelsea.
Yeah. I apologise. They won that World Club Cup, which counts for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's see who else we got. Usual suspect. Hope you're keeping well. Tuchel gone in the summer. If Abramovich was still there, I think he might have been shown the door, but it might be a whole nother story. But let's continue.
Back him, I don't expect.
Yeah. Let's continue on, and we continue on with the goals. A massive game in the relegation battle that's affected this massively. Leeds, massive result for them, and Watford, they're sinking further and further into relegation.
Yeah, we've said this before, but I think this weekend it almost felt like there's a few nails being tapped in the coffins a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like Watford have had a bit of had a go, win one, draw one, lose. Sort of got a few points going. We'll get on the Burnley in a minute, but they did similar in the week, and then this weekend it just felt like. I know it's a great result for Leeds, and a bit like Newcastle, probably gets them safe. They probably need one more win, I'd say. But the ones in the relegation zone, it was some limp, other than Norwich, obviously, but it was some Watford and Burnley. They were the ones who probably had a bit of fight left in them, and it was just two very limp performances. Do you know what I mean?
You've got to say now that you think the three in the relegation zone are the three going down now. I think it's Norwich, Watford and Burnley. Even Burnley are on 24. They're still 4 points off of Everton with the same amount of games played. Watford have played a game more than both Burnley and Everton, and they're 6 points adrift. Norwich played a game more. They're 8 points adrift, and with an awful goal difference. I think it's hard now to look past the three in that relegation zone or anyone else, because I think those three are down now.
Yeah, they just sort of been a bad few days. Like Burnley, I don't know whether they knew the United Everton result or not. but they sort of had a bit of a bottle job, and Watford, you know what I mean? I just probably clubs like Watford, I just want them to go down, stay down for a bit now. Do you know what I mean? I'm actually, if you look at the league below, I'm actually glad that this West Brom aren't coming back up, because these teams just, I don't know that. I know in the past, West Brom had a habit of sacking a manager randomly out the blue. Watford, do you know what I mean? They just don't seem to. I know it's tough to stay up, especially for a smaller club, but they've got these owners in there who just don't seem to have a clue, really. And it is a struggle. You obviously got to feel for the fans. If I was the fans now, these sort of clubs, I think, right, I can't bother the Premier League for 5 years. Let's just get some stability, even if it's floating around mid-table of the Championship. Let's enjoy, build it back up. Maybe, I don't know, maybe see 6 or 7 academy players in there. Not like these random foreign players who most of them might get lucky 1 or 2, but no one's heard of half of them. They have 2 or 3 managers a season. It's just, as a fan, I'd be thinking, what's the point? What's the point? There's no fun in that.
At the end of the day, I think it's incredibly infuriating for the fans, but the owners love it because they're going yo-yo up and down each year, making more Premier League money than back to the Championship. Not so much back to the Premier League. The money's rolling in, going flip-flop from each league each year is, you know, and then what would infuriate me even more is that they're not spending that money that they get to, you know, when they come back up the next year to really try and put up a fight to stay in the league.
No, they don't. I going back a few years now, but Middlesbrough, I remember Middlesbrough, they won the league or come second and come up from the Championship. Probably might be the last time they're up there. They come up, didn't buy anyone, and finished rock bottom and barely threatened anyone. It was just the most obvious money grabbing exercise by the owners, like no effort at all. But these Watford's owners, I don't know. I'll be honest, I lose track of who the manager was and who they sacked.
Oh, no.
This is where Ranieri was not long ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, Watford, Ranieri.
I've forgotten who was before him. Someone else.
I don't
Was
know,
it that Marco Silva? They were saying he had to go because the football was getting bad.
I ain't got a clue, Shaun. Not a clue.
I agree what this Mr. Usual Suspect said. I'd happily see 5 or 6 go down this year. Do you know what I mean?
I say what though, the quality has been diabolical. Like you could seriously put up a fight for Norwich, Watford, Burnley, Everton, Leeds, probably Newcastle as well before all the money came in. That's 6 sides that you could send down.
Yeah, like I know Leeds have got their fans on Sky because they play gun-ho football, but they had a spell of about 8 or 9 games, probably more than that, running up to be able to sack him. Where I've seen Sunday league teams set up better. Do you know what I mean? This is it. There's no place for how bad they set up. I'm not buying the injuries thing because every Premier League team has a 25-man squad and they know that before they get promoted. But how badly they set up and how the goals they were conceding, you can't have sympathy they went down. They're lucky to stay up. They're very lucky. And I still think they'll be down there next year. I don't see a lot changing. But yeah, I agree with you. If they come up with a new idea of the Premier League, if you don't perform to this standard, you're going to be docked points. I'd be all for it.
Yeah. Moving on, let's move to North London then. Arsenal 1, Brighton 2. A welcome result for us and for you, Shaun.
Well, yeah, as you said earlier, I think there's 2 on the spin. Arsenal have lost. I think the fans will be very disappointed. Palace outplayed them. Was it Monday night? Monday night, yeah. Yeah, was it 3-0? Yeah, they completely bullied Arsenal that day. I think Arsenal went 2-0 down in the Palace game and just resorted to diving all over the field. Had nothing. And then this game, I think Brighton, they lost 5 in a row or about 6 in the last set.
They've scored 1 goal in the last 7 and they've scored 2 against Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think I'm right in saying that Brighton have got a very good record against Arsenal. I think it was only last year or the season before, on the last game of the season, when they beat them or drew with them to stop them from getting into Europe. Because remember, I can't remember what player it is, but there's a video of an Arsenal player down on his knees and he's there and hysterics behind him. It's always a good moment when it crops up again. But this is Arsenal, isn't it? And I think Partey might be out for a month or 2.
Listen, they've got a crisis there now because they've got Partey out for the rest of the season. Their right back, who's played about 3 games this year, because he's been injured all season, that's Tommy Asu. So that's 2 of them. Tierney, he's out as well. That's 3 crucial players for them, and they haven't got a striker because they let Aubameyang go.
Lacazette's been useless for a couple of years, and Aubameyang scoring about a hat-trick every game for Barcelona.
I saw a stat today that since Aubameyang's left Arsenal, he's scored 10 goals for Barcelona. In that time, Arsenal on a whole have scored 12.
I don't know. I think I'm right in saying Arsenal, out of the teams still looking around for the 4th spot, I've got the hardest running.
Yeah, they have.
Chelsea, United, yourselves, us, Tottenham. There's a joke saying Arsenal wish they played Tottenham at New Year now, when they battle up pretend COVID.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, they've pretty much got to play everybody around them now. They've got to play you, they've got to play us, they've got to play United. They've got to play all these sides left. And
I don't think they've picked up many points against the teams in the top half of the table either.
No, they don't.
They go on a good little run, Arsenal, like get 4 or 5 wins in a row or close to that. But they're usually around the mid-table, bottom half sides.
Yeah,
they haven't. I think they got excited because they played well against Man City for half an hour in one game, then lost. But they could turn it around. But I would not surprise if they just drop too many points. You see them just slide a couple more spots. Yeah, I don't. My prediction, they've done better than I thought, because I had them down as 9th or 10th, which might sound a bit mad. But when I watched them last season and pre-season, they've probably done a little bit better than I expected. I think the youngsters that have come through have done a little bit better. I think Tommy Asu has been a good signing. The keeper, obviously, I think a lot of us hammered the signing of the keeper, but remember a few years, for about 3 years on the spin, De Gea kept Man United relevant. Remember?
Yeah.
It's had like glimpses of that a little bit with Ramsdale. He's been very good for them. I got off my hands and say I was wrong there. I thought we all laughed at that. It was a lot of money. It was 30 odd million or 28 million. Yeah, the player's been relegated twice, and but that was good scouting. He's done well. If he hadn't done as well as he had, you'd be talking about a 8th or 9th place team probably by now.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what else we've got in the chat. Fremmer, hope you are well. My friend COVID karma for Arsenal, things you'd love to see. Hugh says Aubameyang was a bad egg in the club. Well,
yeah, they love a bad egg. They put Ozil on. Ozil's a bad. They give him a 380 grand a week contract, and they more or less got rid of him before. I know what, we'll give the other bad egg the exact contract. It's like,
let's go and give these prima donnas massive contracts and see what happens, and they get the flip flops out. Let's see here. Hugh says, even all nice win for Cardiff after the bowling by our 6 finger friends. That must have hurt, Hugh. That really must have hurt. But hope you are well. Right, let's move on. What have we got next? Oh, here we go. Aston Villa 0, Spurs 4. I'm sure Josh is glad that he is in Tenerife, because, to be fair, we had a bit of a discussion on Twitter about this. For a good 5 or 10 minutes, Shaun, Villa were knocking on that door and they had a good few chances, and Lloris kept you in it. Was it 1 or 2 now?
Yeah, we obviously scored very early. I think the 3rd minute we scored.
Yeah,
and then you're right. Villa come at us quite well. I think Gerrard drilled it in him to be very aggressive. 2 or 3 of the challenges, the ref was quite lenient. I thought they sort of sit out to bully Tottenham a little bit. One of the tackles actually put Matt Doherty out for the season now. He's done his knee pretty bad, so that's him done for the season. So yeah, they were very aggressive, come at us quite a lot. Lloris, I think he made 1 very good save. The other one was just like a regular save you expect the keeper made. I think Ings scuffed a really good chance wide. So yeah, they had a good half an hour spell, I say, to give them credit. But you've got to take your chances against informed sides, don't you? Do you know what I mean? If you don't take your chances, you're going to pay the price. And Lloris he's had a couple of games where he's had a bit of a wobble, but he was very good in this game. And second half, obviously, I don't think Villa did a great deal. And then Tottenham, if you're going to let Kane turn, or use his brain, he's going to take you apart. And the Tottenham are in good form. I don't know. They are in good form. I'm under no illusions that we're going to go on a massive run and run away with fourth. I don't think we are at all, but they're on a good bit of form, whoever they play. And I told you this when you went up and watched the West Ham game at the Spurs Stadium, because I thought we got 3. I thought we could have got 4, maybe more. But I think that's the same whoever Tottenham play at the moment. They look capable of scoring 4 or 5 against anyone.
What's really infuriating from our perspective of it as well is that we could be in the position you're in now if we would have just signed a few players. That's what you did. You brought in that geezer in midfield and Kulusevski out on the wing. Kulusevski's come in and he's been brilliant. He's almost been the Lingard of last year with Diaz from Liverpool, I think, and it's going from strength to strength. I think you get that 4th spot now, which really pains me to say, but I don't think anybody gets anywhere near you now. But Arsenal still got to play. There's still plenty of twists and turns left.
Arsenal still got the game in hand, obviously, so they can. But over the space of 2 weeks, I think Tottenham have gained 9 goals in the goal difference. So that's a point. That's a point in itself.
Yeah.
So Tottenham are stretched on. We got Brighton at home this lunchtime kickoff, I think. There'll be drop points along the way. I think we've got to go to Anfield. Liverpool won't like that. I think we had a well-deserved draw against Liverpool early in the season. But the injury to Matt Doherty, that is a blow, because he's been a bit of a joke player for us, believe it or not. Not believe it or not, you've probably seen him play, but he was a poor signing. But his natural position at Wolves was always wing back. So Conte's come in. He's been, I think in the last couple of games, he's got something like 4 or 5 assists and 2 goals. And that's playing left wing back, right wing back. He's been very good. So we will miss him. He's far better at wing back than Emerson Royale. So that's a knock. So yeah, injuries can change it. But Conte, a bit like David Moyes, he has got his sort of settled team now. I'm not holding out any hope for Oliver Skip coming back. Conte mentions it in every single press conference, almost digging out the medical team. I think it's a hip problem. So it's one of those ones where the only answer is rest, and then you think, right, rest. We'll give him a go out on the field. Then it starts hurting again. So I know I've banged this drum a lot, but he is a very good player and a talent for the future. The only thing with Tottenham, you notice this with Villa, when you play a 3-4-3, because you're only playing the 2 in the middle, you can, if a team sets up, you can be got at times.
Yeah.
But then if you want to do that, then you're taking a slight gamble, because obviously then you got Harry Kane just dropping into outrageous positions in the field. He's probably, fair to say, probably on form the best player in the Premier League, you'd have to say. He's the current player of the month anyway, but Tottenham scored 12 goals in the last 3 games. He hasn't scored any of them. But he's probably been the best player, or one of the best in every single game. His passing, probably, I think, in passing wise, I think De Bruyne is the only one who can probably match him in the league. It's good. Take Tottenham out of it. If England fans aren't behind our captain and how good he is, then I don't care who you support your club team is. It's outrageous. I know Liverpool fans, they can't stand him. Do you know what I mean?
Well, there we go. We'll leave that there. Bombshell.
Let's move on.
Let's say it goes. Villa are all over the place. Well done, Spurs, of course, but what on earth's going on at Villa? Yeah, Josh has gone into hiding the last few weeks because Villa have not been performing too well. But I
think a little bit. It's the Coutinho honeymoon sort of ended. They even commentary, because he's lucky enough to get like a free roll, and they were sort of saying, he said it's all very well doing what he does, fancy bits here and there, but he's got to put the legwork in. And if you're playing at a mid-table Premier League side, you don't really get the luxury of being a free player. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see him at Villa next year. I think Villa would love him, but I just don't think you can't have a luxury in mid-table. Do you know what I mean? You can't do it. And I'll be honest, Villa, they got players that look good on paper, but I'm not a big fan of Mings at the back. I don't think he's good enough for England. I think Danny Ings was good at Southampton. I don't think he's really got going at Villa. I don't know whether he's just not forming a partnership with Watkins. I don't know. It's Villa, isn't it? I think they got ambitious and thought, it's a great January transfer window. who they got in that, like Dina, Coutinho, and might got one or two others, but it's just a mid-table side. Same as your Wolves, the same as your Brighton, same as your Southampton. They can turn it on one game. Ward-Prowse can hit a 30-yard free kick and set up another. Coutinho can do the same. And that's what you get. Another day they'll get pumped 4-0, and that's what we got here.
Yeah. I think it's just strange. It's another one of these mid-table sides doing mid-table things. Sharky, hope you well, mate. If Spurs get full place and fair play to them, I only bother about West Ham and then bouncing back this Thursday, hopefully. So Gerard struggling, Odie. Yeah, all the sympathy from West Ham. Yeah, right. We couldn't care less. Frema, quick fire. Shaun, are you expecting Champions League now? Yes or no? Before we move on,
I would say yes, because I think the Conte factor's kicked in, and like you said, the January transfers have been very good, and also Romero's not missing any games now, and he does make a huge difference because he's very classy and he's got that little bit of nastiness, which I love in a defender as well.
The Conte factor has kicked in. There we go. Let's move on to the first game in Super Sunday, which was, to be honest, quite irrelevant. Leicester 2, Crystal Palace 1. Sorry, Palace fans. Sorry, Leicester fans. But we'll go through it quickly. Leicester won, Palace lost. It's a mid-table game that nobody really cares about, and it's got nothing on.
To be honest, Jay, I think you just summed it up, because this is a game that sort of went over my head a little bit, because they kicked off at the same time as your lot, didn't they? I think, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was trying to watch as much of yours as I could. So I'm gonna be boring and just say it's two more mid-table sides, really. But I do, and Vieira's be getting loads of praise, even some Arsenal fans after that 3-0 the other day. Now that some of them are even calling for Arteta to be sacked now and put Vieira in. But I don't know. It's been a good season for Palace. Do you know what I mean? They're not gonna. You don't ever see them being a club that are going to start pushing on, like a bit like yourselves. The last 2 years, you've sort of found a little sort of click and you pushed on. You'd be surprised if someone like Palace did that.
Mm.
But Leicester, it's got to go down as an awful season, really. I don't really know where they're going to go next year. I know they picked up a few little cups. I mean, if you count the Community Shield, and obviously they won the FA Cup. But now, when you start doing that a couple of years after winning the league, you got to think, right, what's next? And I know they're a proper owner passed away in that crash, and I think his son and a committee took over. I'm just guessing that. But I just wonder, and I know they've now got one of the best training grounds in the country as well.
It's brilliant, yeah.
So what is next? Do you know what I mean? Because they've also obviously had that one season in the Champions League. I think they got out the group in that. But a couple of their players, a lot of that team now is gone. Vardy's probably ready to pack it in. Schmeichel's getting on a bit. I don't know. Where are they going?
To be honest, I don't think they're going anywhere. I think it's been a very disappointing season for the Fox. Obviously, they're in the Europa Conference League and they're currently 0-0 to Eindhoven in that, but they're not going to get any Europa League football next season unless they win the Conference League. So they're sat in 9th or whatever, and I think that's the end of their honeymoon European dream period, unless they have some serious investment and they get themselves back up there, which I think is highly unlikely. But let's take some comments then. So Arsenal and Cardiff City football unofficial. Never seen you in before. Hello, hope you're well. Lampard could get sacked. Big fat Frank. We love taking the mick out of him. Indeed. Please don't talk about Arsenal versus Palace. I'll tell you what, I love that game. I absolutely loved watching that. But let's move on because that game's dead and nobody really wants to talk about it. Relegation scramble then. Wow, not many expected this. Norwich 2, Burnley 0. I think this consolidates Burnley going down. It doesn't really make much difference to Norwich, as I think we already know they're dead and buried.
Yeah, it's a shocker for Burnley. I can't remember your guest that we had on a few times, Jake, the Burnley lad. He was a nice chap.
Yeah, down.
This has got to be a sickener for him. Do you know what I mean? I didn't see the game, but it's an appalling result. Do you know what I mean? After the late winner versus Everton, if that's not, they would have Dyche would have looked at Everton at home, Norwich away, 2 games on the spin. He would have eyed that up weeks ago. and thought, right, that is where we've got to try and get 6 points and give ourselves a chance to go and beat Everton. It's almost like un-Shaun Dyche-like, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You'd think he'd have a workman-like win at Burnley, and it's a really poor result. Norwich, obviously, fair play, they're keeping going. Would not, with the manager they've got, they'll probably be near the top of the Championship again next year. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind Norwich. I don't really label them as one of these clubs that yo-yo but don't try. Do you know what I mean? I think they're very limited, so they do try. Like, they have to sell their best player every time they go down, and sometimes when they come back up. Didn't help that they lost Buendia to Villa and Skip was only on loan from Tottenham. That was two of their best players in the promotion team. I don't know. It's just, like I said, it's a very start of the show. You'd have to look at this weekend as the weekend where a few nails got tapped in, and I think Everton aren't safe, and they can also chuck in another awful run of 3-4 defeats on the spin. But for Burnley to go and lose at Norwich, you're starting to lose a bit of hope for them now.
Yeah, I think it's disappointing for Burnley because they were starting to not motor, but they needed to win this game. You know, there's no ifs or buts about it.
Yeah,
Norwich are dead and buried. You know, they're just playing for the fun of it now. Let's be honest. They're not going to get get out of this relegation battle now. And they went and lost to them, which must be incredibly infuriating. And I'm sure they'll stick by Shaun Dyche, and we will see them again in a couple of years' time. But let's have a look here then. So Norwich deserved a win, but I do feel bad for Burnley as they have been in the Premier League for quite a while. And but every year Burnley seem to find a way to get themselves out of it. But I think this year there might not be that. Would Burnley keep Dyche? I think what sticks for me is I asked Dan about 5 months ago, would you rather sack Shaun Dyche and get in somebody else and stay in the Premier League this year, or keep Shaun Dyche and go down to the Championship? And he said, go down to the Championship and keep Shaun Dyche. I think that sums up the mentality of Burnley.
Thing is, Jay, I think when you look at Burnley and Shaun Dyche as a pair, but mainly from Shaun Dyche's perspective, it looks like to me Shaun Dyche is screaming for a break from it a little bit, and maybe sometimes not because they should get rid of him, but sometimes just something fresh. Do you know what I mean? Just fresh, go down fresh, and it's not easy to find the right man. But
no,
for Dyche, he's probably missed the opportunity to get some bigger jobs. And to be honest, I don't think that opportunity would come again. But I don't know. He's obviously loves it around that part of the world. But if I was him, I'd be looking at thinking, right, I just want a little break from the game. Yeah. It's hard graft keeping Burnley up every year. Do you know what I mean? It's not easy. And I watched the Everton game the other night, and I was watching thinking, just everything about Burnley still 1990s football, isn't it? Or probably 1980s.
Dyche looks. Yeah, this is a good point. Dyche looks tired. Do you think Do you think if they go down, he might go, you know what? Yeah, somebody else can have it, and I'll just step back from it.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him. Just, I don't know. He's a northern chap. There's a northern job. Have 6 months, have a year out. I just don't. I think it's the whole job in general. It's just a bit of a slog. He's had a small squad for years. I can't even remember the last player of note that they've brought through of top quality. Just when he's like grinding teams, it won't be an easy job on your mind. Do you know what I mean? It's just not. So, and I think because they haven't got a lot of creativity, they might struggle to come back up the first attempt anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think he should probably walk away with his head held high, to be honest.
Yeah. So there we go. Robert, I hope you're well, my friend. Right, let's move on then. Here we go. Brentford 2, West Ham United 0. Now time to reflect today and just have a read through Twitter and see what people are saying. And yeah, it's an opportunity missed. And Shaun, I know exactly what you're going to say, pretty much to an extent, but I'll just say this first. Is the fact is, yes, it was disappointing, and a lot of people have said the same thing: is that we can accept defeat, but we don't accept no effort. And I'm afraid that's what we've got. Was that 100% down to the players? I don't know. the one thing that stuck with me was the stream we were watching. Tony Gales on commentary, and he said the excuse will be tiredness, and he said being a professional footballer, he said some of that tiredness is mental, not actually physical. That the players have got it inside their head that they're tired, and they're just going to act that way, and they're not really as tired as they actually think they are, and how they act now. From a former West Ham player, I thought, yeah, that kind of stuck with me there, and there was just no effort. There really was no effort. And Robert mentions it here. Antonio was completely, it was awful, absolutely awful. And just his last 2 minutes, picking up that yellow card and just shrugging off and just going. That summed it up. And what Robert says here, seeing Oko Fleck scored Tuesday, Parkins scored, Chester scored, seeing all these players banging in the goals week after week in the under-23s, must think, really, Moyes, are you that stubborn that you're not going to try and that you aren't going to try and pick one of these players? The perfect opportunity, and it might not have worked, but against the Brentford side that are fragile, and they weren't very good. Yes, Brentford, they were average, but they just scored 2 goals from two lapses in concentration from us, if I'm honest with you. And starting one of these youngsters would have done the world for their experience, and just something a little bit different, and giving Antonio a rest, man. It's constant. He is playing every single game without fail. If he's not injured, he's playing, and that's it. And just the players look tired, and the only player I think played well to an extent was Craig Dawson. I thought he was okay. Anybody else? I thought Rice was okay, gave the ball away more than what we're used to. Can't be bothered to talk about it anymore, Shaun. So far away. Come on, I know what's coming, but come on.
I've sort of said this before. I don't like trying to slag off David Moyes because he's got you where you are. But you mentioned these lists of under 23 players, give one of them a go. It's more a case two or three of them probably should have been drip fed in as the season's gone on. Like it's pointless chucking one or two of them now because he's done what he's done. And if you chuck one in now from the under 23s, they probably look miles out of their league. But I think you've had a few of them on the bench here and there, haven't you? I think over the last, obviously you can name a massive bench now. But the truth is, the under 23s to the Premier League is quite a big step up. Like, I don't want to bang on at my team, but our best under 23 striker, he makes the bench now and again for the first team. He's come on, doesn't look nowhere near ready. He starts at front for England under 19s. We've got another striker who's been raved about. He's about 21, on loan at MK Dons. He's doing well, but that's the sort of level we're talking of where the under 23 stars are. Tottenham's best under 23 player of the season, I think he was the player of the month, 2 months on the spin. We sold him to Blackburn because he didn't sign a new deal. So this under 23 league can be a little bit deceiving of the level these players are at, really. Okay. However, as you know yourself, David Moyes, and we said at the beginning of the season when I said, obviously I can remember how difficult it is juggling Europe and league. That was Moyes' main job of this season. Nothing else. He had to juggle that squad to make sure you can get to April, May, at the business end of the season, still relevant in aiming your targets. At the moment, whatever the date is now, a couple of days before probably the biggest game in 20 years, you are still just about clinging on to that. Do you know what I mean? But to go to Brentford, they're hitting a bit of form. You said they were. I watched a lot of it. They're okay. They're not a really special side, but to still send out more or less the same 11 that maybe one change. It's the same one that played at Lyon that played the same week before. The same one that played at Seville the week before that. There's hardly any changes. He gave Yarmolenko a few runs out here and there. Now, surely that was the game to start him at Brentford if you're gonna pay Antonio
anybody but Antonio, and that was backed up by his performance. And look at him, whether it was a lack of effort and tiredness, a mix of it, I'm pretty much sure of that. But you could see, he wasn't up to being a Premier League striker on Sunday after playing on Thursday. We're going up to that Burnley game on Sunday. Whatever happens in that Europa League game on Thursday, I'm going to expect us to be poor, because that's what we've been like after Europa League. And I know you're rolling your eyes because I know exactly what's happening, what you're going to say, Shaun, about the ambition and about if you want to stay here and this and that and the other. But it's just what we've got to deal with, and that's the harsh reality because David Moyes didn't sign any players.
I know you're in that tricky mindset as a fan, I think, and maybe I don't know what your owners. I know they haven't got the best reputation, but Moyes has got you here. And now maybe just his old-fashionedness and stubbornness. I could be wrong. You could go and win this Europa League, but it's on a knife edge whether he almost gets it badly wrong. Do you know what I mean? Because I heard one of your videos the other day, and I'm going to call you out on this. When you started, I think it was after the Europa League, you went as far as saying is even if we go out against Leon, this cup run will be something we tell our grandkids about. You won't. For the record, I think you'll go through first anyway. But even if you lose in the final and you finish 8th, you won't remember this season that much. It's been fun.
I think you're fine. We will, Shaun. I think you're fine. We will. That's
okay. All right. Well, about 12 years ago, probably just a couple of years after you were born, Fulham went on a Europa League run far more greater than West Ham's. They were far smaller side. We even had like 3-4 qualifying rounds. I think they drew with Juve at Craven Cottage. They lost in the final at Atletico Madrid, I think it was. Middlesbrough did the same. If you don't win it, and then I think within a couple of years, both those clubs ended up going down there. And I've got a funny feeling one of them might have even got relegated the year to reach the final. So it's a fun cup runs are brilliant fun. They are absolutely brilliant. But unless you win it, and if the rest of the season sort of unfolds, you'll look back on it with a little bit of annoyance. I promise you.
Yeah, but to be fair, I would, if I'm obviously if I was a neutral and I was going to say who was going to win, I would say West Ham, especially because that's backed up because Leon had a bit of an injury nightmare on Sunday. To be fair, so did we. Zuma's out. We don't know the complexity of whether it was just a twisted ankle and he's all right, or whether there's something deeper wrong there with Kurt Zouma. But we've heard that Houssem Aouar's injured, their goalkeeper's injured. Dembele and Ndombele, one of them might be a doubt for the game as well. But Thursday's massive, and Sharky, don't worry. I still have belief we will win on Thursday, but I think it's coming back to bite David Moyes now that he knows that if we just would have signed that striker, would have signed a couple of players just to give some of these players a break. And you see the subs that came on. The subs that came on Sunday, Vlasic, nothing really there. Ben Rama came on in sparks. He looks lively. Still not fantastic, I don't know.
I don't want to. The ambition, I know, I've said to you a few times, is something that has to grow in the club. It's not going to happen overnight. That is just a fact. And I'm even not a biggest fan of a lot of rotation, but at some point, I don't know. Do you think Moyes might look at it now? I think right. I think you've played a game or two more than all the teams above you. I think now going for 4th spot.
Yep.
Do you think? Well, obviously it depends on Thursday. Do you think he's maybe waited one game too long before he sort of pulled the plug on playing his favourite? I'm not going to say his best team because it might not be, but his favourite team.
I don't think he is going to pull the plug, and he's actually said this in interviews in the past few weeks. He said, this is my team, and I'm not going to change it too much. And there isn't, and I know it seems alien, but that's what David Moyes has said. He said, I'm gonna pick my best team, whatever happens, whether they're 100% or not, which is slightly hard to get my head around, if I'm honest. But that's what David Moyes has said. He's not going to make many changes to the team from now to the end of the season. Maybe Vlasic will come in for one game. Ben Rama here. Areola will come in for the Europa League games. Apart from that, not much is changing.
Does it not bug you? I know you get a lot of keepers. Like now and again, a keeper will get the Carabao Cup runs and all that. You see it at a lot of clubs. But does it not annoy you a little bit that he's happy to switch the keeper every Europa League game, but maybe not one other player, or maybe, I don't know, maybe just, I'll be honest, I think I put someone in your post. This season I watched West Ham probably more than I have of any team other than Spurs. Okay, last year I watched them a bit more fleetingly. So, but the more I've watched them, and this might surprise a few of your listeners now, I've been less impressed with Declan Rice the more I've watched him. Now, I don't know if that's his fault because I've always thought he was a brilliant player. So I don't know whether he is just massively burnt out. I just don't. I don't think he does enough to control a game. Does that make sense? He's got the ability to run a football match, but I don't very often see them run them. I don't know if it's down to him, whether it's down to fatigue. I know he suffers with a few medical conditions, illnesses as well. Doesn't he? He's got a hereditary problem. I can't remember what it is now, but I don't. So I haven't been impressed. I was just expecting better. So
players, I don't know. Players have off games, and Declan Rice has certainly entered that in the last couple of weeks. He hasn't been to where we have seen him at some points this year and last year, but he has come on leaps and bounds, and I am going to say that this year I think he has got better, and in some games he has shown his worth. At Brentford, I could slightly see why some people are saying, "Hang on, hold your horses. This geezer isn't all of it," because he did give the ball quite away. He did give the ball away quite a lot on Sunday, and I will admit that he wasn't fantastic, but there's still that 100 plus 150 million pound player there.
Maybe coming into the season, he could be up around 60 games this season. Look, so I think I rate the player. I'm trying to get to the bottom where I haven't. I don't think he's running football matches. Do you know what I mean? I've seen him not just against Brentford, but probably since Christmas, I've seen he's have a good game, then he'd sort of not do as much as I'd expect. Now, I don't know if that's down the Moyes. I don't know whether he's a player. I know he's only young still that needs better managing.
Tell you what we'll do. We'll let the people watching. We'll let the people watching make their mind up on your very controversial comments, Shaun. But without further ado, let's scroll up and take some of your comments then. So let's start here. Fremmer says, Mr. Moyes said it himself, I'm using the same players and I'm going to continue playing them. He's relentless. Yeah, as you said, I think you put it in the chat on Thursday, on Sunday, yesterday, Europa or bust, Shaun. I think it is now Europa or bust. But believe it. Oh, I can't even press it. There it is. Indeed. He just will not. No, he won't. And there's something deep down there. Robert says, make you right. Look at Dean Garner went to West Brom, where he's now. Exactly. And some people have said, if he would have stayed at West Ham, he wouldn't have come out to all we thought he was going to be. But Fremmer says, if the players weren't going to look tired at some point with what with Moyes playing them all the time, I'd expect them to be robots. Thursday, massive indeed. Super Chef's in the building. Long time no see. Scott, hope you are well, my friend. We did have a very nice holiday. Thank you very much for asking. Cyber, hope you're well. Comment and then I hear from Fremmer. You'd fit right into that West Ham team then, being tired indeed. Good to hear. We'll catch up on the blog later. Yeah, I spent I spent a good 3 hours of my day doing editing and sorting all that out today. So I hope if you have watched it, you enjoyed that. Oh, Shaun, wash your mouth. So that's the first comment about your Declan Rice controversy. So usual suspect. So there we go. Anyway, right. We're on a time limit here. Let's move on to the big one. The title decided absolutely nothing. Come on, be quick, Shaun. Let's go.
Quick controversial one. I thought there was a lot of hype behind it. Obviously, it's a title deciding game, and they banged on about it all day. I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest. Hello. I thought I think we've seen bigger games be better. I thought Liverpool were probably quite fortunate to get the point, but I thought Man City were quite poor by their standards when it mattered, like around the 18-yard box in front of goal. I'm not sure Pep picked the right team to start with, like the attacking three went with. Don't know. I just thought, I know we got 4 goals. Liverpool didn't do a lot more other than the goals. I just felt in front of goal we could have seen a lot better really. And what De Bruyne's was deflected goal. I don't know. Sterling, I thought was poor. Do you know what I mean? A big fan of De Bruyne. He did okay. I just think some of these games, it's right to hype them up before the game, but afterwards, I looked at it. I thought it was entertaining, but the quality of the football in the final third, I just didn't think was fitting of the hype. Do you know what I mean?
Controversy. To be
Do you know
fair, I watched most of it, and I thought, and I've got to agree with Dad. First half brilliant, second half ordinary. I think it fizzled out in the second half. I thought the first half was brilliant. To be honest, to be completely honest, I thought the first half lived up to expectations. Fizzled out in the second half slightly, but I just wanted a winner. To be honest, I wanted a winner.
I know Pep loves his controversy. He said himself he likes to try random things, but picking, was it Sterling, Jesus in the front three? I don't know. I thought that's where City were lacking. A little bit of sharpness in front of goal, the final touch, maybe the final ball. I don't know. I just think it was a good game, but I don't know. Maybe Man City just don't have that top quality in front as a finisher. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, though, especially first half. Gabriel Jesus played, and I thought he was pretty decent in the first half. If I'm honest with you, Sterling, I mean, he wasn't great. If I'm honest with you, I'm not a massive fan of him. I thought he was excellent at the Euros, and you've got to say hats off to him there. But Man City blows incredibly hot and cold. I thought Trent was his usual defensive calamitous self.
Yeah,
I
didn't even think Van Dijk had a good game. I thought Liverpool were quite ordinary at the back. I think on another day, Man City could have scored 4 or 5. Yeah. So that was probably the only thing I was not an anticlimax. I think I was probably just a little bit disappointed that Man City didn't kill it. Do you know what I mean? I think maybe he put on Mahrez and Grealish maybe a bit late. Yeah, I just think it was a game that was there for Man City just to put to bed. I think that would have opened up a 4-point lead, and I think they might have run away with a title then. So I don't know if they'll come down regretting this. I think we've seen better games over the years for quality, where it matters. Where it matters, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Liverpool got away with it, to be honest with you. And I think,
I agree.
They're two great. They're two great teams. But I think they both get overhyped a little bit how great they are at the moment. Is that a fair slant to put on it? Do you know what I mean? I know they've run away with this title a little bit, but that's largely because of how manure a lot of the teams below have been again. I think both of them a little bit need a bit of a rebuild, believe it or not. I think, yeah.
To round off, I think it was a game that the first half I thought was brilliant. I thought the second half sizzled out, and to be honest, I thought that I expected a little bit more, and I expected a winner to really know who's going to win this title. But Sky Sports News, you wouldn't have known any other thing was happening on Sunday. Nothing else in sport was happening because they literally talked about it all day, pretty much Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Not so much Saturday, but Friday and Sunday. It was constant, and some people say it lived up. Well. Some people say it lived up to expectations, some say otherwise. But anyway, that's the Premier League roundup show done for another week. Let's have a little roundup and see what we've discussed tonight then. So Newcastle 1, Wolves 0, Everton 1, Man United 0, Southampton 0, Chelsea 6, Watford 0, Leeds 3, Arsenal 1, Brighton 2. Aston Villa 0, Spurs 4, Leicester 2, Crystal Palace 1, Norwich 2, Burnley 0, Brentford 2, West Ham 1, and Man City 2, Liverpool 2. That's us done. We now turn our attention to Lyon on Thursday night. Shaun, I expect you to be watching that one, and and this time next week, giving your thoughts on West Ham playing Barcelona in a few weeks' time. Fingers crossed. Keep believing. Keep watching West Ham Unofficial from me. Come on, your irons. Thank you very much, Shaun, for coming on again tonight.
No worries, buddy. No worries.
We'll see you soon. Drop a like on the video. As I said, loads of content building up to Lyon. I'm now on holiday half-term. Get in. So there'll be plenty of extra content coming for this special Lyon game on Thursday. So yeah, make sure you're ready for that. Shaun, I expect you to tune into every single one of them. And that's it from us. Catch you soon. Bye-bye. Cheers,